Professor Gregory Cabenwild, December 9, 1915. The Skeptics Club of Philadelphia. Professor, first, permit me to again express my gratitude for allowing me to take the anomaly to Boston. Although I value Mr. Hutchinson's opinion in matters of mathematics and fluid turbulence, his opinion on female science, as he would call it, is to his detriment. You informed me once that you are not a man of God. Nevertheless, I know you shall take no insult when I say that your faith in me is quite Christian of you. Mr. Scranton has been of extraordinary service. His laboratory would give the so-called Wizard of Menlo Park pause. It is well stocked with all the latest advances in electrodynamics and radiology. The use of his Geiger counter, a splendid machine that vastly simplifies the detection of alpha particles, has led to a most remarkable discovery. The anomaly produces not only warmth, but radiation. This is not all. After modifying his Geiger counter to record pulses of radiation, I came upon an even more startling discovery, a pattern which repeats approximately every 16 hours. 6 clusters of pulses, each separated by an equally spaced interval. Each cluster contains more pulses than its predecessor. I have observed this firsthand on 12 occasions. Now, each time, I have counted the number of pulses in each cluster. The first cluster always contains 2 pulses. The second, 3. The third, 5. The fourth, 7. The fifth, 11. And the sixth, 13. 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13. The first 6 primes. There is one more discovery I wish to relate to you, but in doing so, I must confess an error committed during our prior conversation in September. I stated that the anomaly was impermeable to radiation. I came to this conclusion based on radiation failing to pass through it. However, Mr. Scranton correctly pointed out that this is not the same as being impermeable. I therefore have tested to see if radiation is being deflected. It is not. It absorbs radiation, Professor. Perhaps it even transmits it. I suspect the pattern we have observed is a message. One that originated from whence this object came. And I suspect that, with some work, we can send a message back. Always with fondness, Miss Annette Lang. Professor Gregory Cabenwild, May 15, 1916. The Skeptics Club of Philadelphia. Dear Professor Cabenwild, the hardest part proved to be securing the polonium. Its scarcity, a consequence of its brief half-life, makes it prohibitively expensive. Robert nevertheless succeeded in acquiring a sufficient amount. The contraption itself is a lead-shielded mechanism that, when triggered, exposes the polonium and produces a ray of alpha particles from its very tip. It is automated and, as per your suggestion, powered by 2 Lech-Lunch cells. A punch tape feed controls the trigger mechanism, allowing us to loop a pattern for as long as our supply of polonium lasts. Given the content of the arriving message, we decided to escalate the stakes. We transmitted the first 7 primes. Immediately after our first loop completed, the anomaly ceased to emit any detectable trace of radiation. Several seconds after that, it resumed emitting radiation at a far more furious pace. What we recorded was a series of dense clusters of brief pulses and long bands. It lasted for approximately 2 minutes before ceasing. Upon examination, I could make neither heads nor tails of it. Robert, however, recognized it instantly. He worked in the telegraph office at South Station as a young boy. There, he learned to read Morse as plainly as reading a book. The message was written in English. It informed us to stand by for a second transmission that will commence 2 weeks from now. This message will exceed 5 million characters, and thus shall require approximately 260 days to complete. I jested to Robert that we may need an additional roll of paper. Eagerly awaiting your arrival, Mrs. Annette Lang Scranton. They end up needing quite a few more than one. By the time the signal commences, Mrs. Lang Scranton and her new husband have made significant modifications to the Geiger counter. A week after the signal starts, Mr. Hutchinson has returned, alongside a brilliant chemist from France. 2 weeks after that, they have several backers, 6 more scientists, with 1 more on the way, and a laboratory of their own. The message they are receiving describes a universe beyond the boundaries of their imagination. It is a universe filled with quarks and singularities, containing cosmological events so grand, so enormous in scale, that they defy all comprehension, alongside quantum phenomena so subtle, so minuscule in nature, that they can scarcely be said to exist at all. It is also a universe filled with the impossible. Impossible ideas. Impossible science. Impossible magic. And impossible monsters. So very many impossible monsters. The message is prefaced with a warning: do not respond. Automated message: other universes exist, something digesting them. If you see this, then we lost you are next. This is all I can do. Sorry and good luck, Alice Zhao.